Good evening, and welcome to the Village of Lansing's public hearing agenda, July 21st, 2026. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Belton.
Here.
Trustee Johnson. Here. Trustee Foster.
Here.
Trustee Lamont.
Here.
Trustee Valencia.
Here. Trustee Smith is absent. We are going to start this meeting off with the presentation of the annual appropriation ordinance. I'm going to send it over to our village administrator, Mr. Podgorski, and then it'll go to our finance director, White Hankin.
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome, everybody. This is our annual public hearing for appropriations. In Illinois municipal law, municipalities are required to adopt their appropriations by the end of the third month of their fiscal year. Our fiscal year begins on May 1, so we're required to adopt the appropriations ordinance by the end of July. The appropriations ordinance is essentially an extension of our budget. So we start a budget process with department heads, usually in about March or April. It culminates with this appropriation public hearing. So the budgets are essentially a snapshot in time of where we expect spending to be held at in the next 12 months. And they're balanced with revenues to present a balanced budget. And the appropriations are essentially, in most cases, a 20% extension of the budget. And what they do is they provide for spending levels if additional revenues are received in excess of what's been budgeted. So typically your appropriation is about 20% more than your budget. So with that being said, we've had a couple of budget workshops here in June, our 2 June meetings, and Finance Director Hannigan also had trustees in for a third and final workshop individually or with one other trustee in the last couple of weeks. So tonight is the culmination of the process, and we'll turn it over to Finance Director Hannigan.
Thanks, Administrator Podgorski. No, just so can do those. Mayor Hardy, Village Clerk Brady Perovich, and elected trustees, you are being asked to approve the 2027 appropriations ordinance for the period from May 1st, 2026 through April 30th, 2027. As Administrator Podgorski just said, the village's 2027 operating budget has been and will continue to operate under the appropriations ordinance once it's formally approved, hopefully later this evening. First, I would like to thank Mayor Hardy and the trustees for the time and effort in meeting with Dan Podgorski, Karina Lopez, and me through this process, and review certain departments for which you were assigned and were responsible, as well as the overall budget submission. I'd also like to thank Mayor Hardy and Mr. Podgorski for their direction in the capital projects component, which I'll review in a minute, which is an important part of this 2027 municipal budget. Thanks to all department heads and their respective management teams for their diligence in following the timeline, which I requested back when we started this process in April, in getting their respective budgets completed. Finally, I would like to specifically call out a huge shout out to Karina Lopez, without whose help this appropriations ordinance and budget compilation could not have been completed. I know we have a long agenda tonight, so I wanted to kind of go through a few highlights. Dave, I'm sorry, where's the, there we go. I know there are a lot of numbers on this. As I said to the board at previous meetings, we have a lot of funds that we use in different ways to help supplement our budget. And so that's why it's a little difficult at times to not have all these funds and try to present it as a comprehensive summary for you as a board. First of all, the general fund has budgeted revenues in 2027 of $40.8 million, which is a little over 3% above the actual revenues that we received of $39.5 million. That sounds like we have not in any way stretched our revenues, because about $500,000 of that difference is for the anticipated declared surplus from the Ridge Road TIF as part of what we're going to have to pay the other taxing agencies for at least an extension of that TIF. Again, I know I mentioned some of these in our various meetings, so excuse me if I'm being repetitive, but these revenues are really based as part of our process on a 3-year moving average, but we also look at if we've had tremendous success like we've had on sales tax, and look at last year's numbers. So it's not just a 3-year moving average. We look at each line item and determine what looks like a good projection for the new year. One point I want to make, I made it in various other meetings, property taxes again is going to be delayed according to some communications that I've received from Cook County. Property taxes, as the board probably knows, is our biggest line item. It's about 34% of the budget when you layer in our 2 large pension funds. So cash flow, goes without saying, is when we have delays like that, it tremendously affects the village's cash flow, which is why I've talked before about having the reserves that we have. That property tax number in this current budget is $5.7 million, which is the village's share. $6 million for police pension and $2 million for fire pension. So you can see that that $13.7 million on a $40 million budget is a significant component of what we use to fund the village's operations. In this budget, sales tax revenue we project to be $9.6 million, which is about $1 million over last year's budget. But only about $300,000 over last year's actual sales taxes of $9.3. Goes without saying, we've had tremendous success. Goes without saying, this board and Mayor Hardy, Administrator Podgorski are responsible for all the attorneys that we misled, bring up Attorney Welch as well. But we are expecting a complete year of revenue from the recently added Kia dealership, which was not in these numbers. So I feel pretty comfortable that our sales tax projection of $9.6 million, and I'll go through what we're going to have to do if we don't hit some of these numbers. But income tax revenues, which is a little less than 14% of the budget, we projected to be $5.5 million. Last year's number was $5.6. EMS revenue is up about $250,000. That's based on the higher GEMT rates the board approved earlier this year. We did get, I think Fire Chief Crane would tell you that there's a little bit of concern about a year from now that GEMT may get affected by some changes in CMS. We filed, I think, Chad and John, to their credit, filed a letter with them saying objecting to that issue, but that won't really hit us until 1/1/29. So it really won't impact the current year's budget at all, and probably only a portion of the 28 fiscal year budget. Fiscal year 29 budget. On the spending side, the village's spending is $43.8 million, which is about 12% over last year's spending. About $3.6 million of that is because of the transfer that we need to make as part of the funding on the south end of town and the Burnham TIF, because of what we have to do, not what we have to do, but the payment that we need to make to the other taxing agencies out of the Ridge Road TIF. So that $43.8 million is high by about $3 million. On the appropriation, it's 3.6, but that's a transfer that we're going to expect to make either out of our reserves or Dan and I have talked about reaching out to First National about a credit line. I think we'll set the credit line up. It's pretty cheap to set those up if you don't use them. If we do use them, obviously it costs, it's interest expense. So I think this is something that is what we've done in the current year's budget is to transfer that out of the current reserves, of which we have about $24 million, so we come out of that money. Actual spending is about $7 million. Again, we put in almost everything that all the department heads have asked for, and we've got a lot of money, and I'll show that in the summary. All of our TIP projects that we have, I'm not sure we're going to be able to get them all done, but we budgeted for those to be paid for if that we do get them done. This is that this is the $3 million that I just mentioned that we transferred from the general fund. It's to provide some of the site work, survey work that's being done for Station 29 at the south end of town, some Ford hangar renovations in the Flanagan subdivision, while making, as I said, we're going to need to pay about $4.7 million to the other taxing agencies for the Ridge Road extension. Also, so you'll see that is this number here. I wanted to red flag it. That's the transfer to the Ridge Road TIF, which ultimately touches the South Burnham TIF. TIFs have to touch each other, and money moves accordingly. So that's what this $3 million is for. You'll see, I think it goes without saying, I think department had budgets that were submitted. I think they, I don't want to call them austere because they ask, as all department heads do, they ask for a lot. And I think, but in these numbers are personnel changes, some equipment requests, and probably the biggest one is the street department. This is because of the new CBA that I know the board is going to discuss later this evening. This budget has a very, I guess what I would call a very robust street and alley paving program of about $2.5 million. That's about $500,000 more than we've done in prior years. None of that is being paid for by the general fund, meaning it's going to be funded by our MFT fund and by the street levy, which again, the board was good enough to work with me to get that street levy back up to $1 million last December, and that's really what's going to be used to pay for streets throughout town. I'll kind of summarize that a little bit later in some of my other comments. And then in the water fund, we are going to present initially to the board a water purchase and supply agreement with the City of Hammond. Again, the City of Hammond is still the best source to find Lake Michigan water. They are going to bill us at 88% of the City of Chicago rate. The City of Chicago's rate is $4.98. Not that this is confusing. The effective 9/1/26 date is what is assuming that we get that approved from the City of Hammond. This rate in Chicago is actually effective 6/1 of 26, so it went in effect June 1st. The cost per thousand is going to go from $3.78 to $4.38. I think I quantified this with Trustee Lamont. It's an increase of about $20 on a quarterly basis. Again, it's all tied to how much water, obviously, a given homeowner uses. Streets and alleys, so let me just go back to this. So you'll see in all of these different funds, we've got in the water fund about $10 million in 26 That's because this difference here is primarily related to the lead service line replacement, okay? Most of which is going to be funded hopefully by either non-interest loans, grants, things that we're doing with the IAPA and working with Steve and Jeff and the Robinson team. The airport, this is primarily a project called 927. Again, that's going to be funded primarily by the federal government. I don't know that we're going to get all of that done, but I put that in the budget because we may have to fund the local share, which will be about $200,000 of about a $2.7 million project. You'll see on some of these, none of these funds are spending beyond the cash that they go in the year with and their revenues. And then you'll see Enhanced 911, Brian Weiss just had a grant approved on Friday. So we did put that revenue in, it's about $308,000. I think he wants to spend it on his 9/11 system. And so that is why this is $1 million of spending. In the 798 is about $308,000 of the grant. And again, he goes into the year with about $450,000 of funds to do the various things. He's allowed that fund to build up over the last couple of years. Street improvements, I think I just discussed, they're basically flat. And again, these two funds are both outside of the general fund. We've got, as the board knows, most of the projects, the capital projects are funded in the past by Ridge Road, which is we're going to have to take a 2-year moratorium for the reasons I just mentioned. Bernice Road and Burnham Avenue South and the Torrance District are the primary funders of these projects now. So I put together a list of capital projects that we hope to get done. I'm not sure, I'll leave it up to Dan whether we're going to be able to get all these done in the current fiscal year, but we provided to be able to do it nonetheless. $2.7 million to finish off the Chicago Avenue widening. That's paid half by Bernice Road, half by the Chicago Avenue TIF. $2.5 million, that's just another way. PMP is just I call it the street program, but that's really the same $2.5 million I just mentioned. $1.2 million for the Pasquinelli subdivision. That's going to be again paid outside of the general fund by CDBG. I think Robinson was influential in getting that $300,000 grant, plus another $900,000 or so out of the street fund. They'll take care of that resurfacing that subdivision. The lead service line replacement program I mentioned earlier. This again is going to primarily be funded, I think we all hope, and I believe it will, by, as I said, non-interest bearing loans or low interest loans and grants. We also have $1.9 million for the Ridge Road sidewalk replacement, of which $875 has been provided by a DECO grant from the state of Illinois. Dan was adamant with Mayor Hardy of getting a $1.3 million project for water mains for a project that, quite frankly, has been on the budget for a number of years on 176th place between Wentworth and Maple as you go near the state line, and that'll be all paid for by the Water and Sewer Fund. $1.4 million. We've got two projects that we really need to get done during this fiscal year because the West Lansing TIF is our next TIF that's going to be coming to its end on December 31st of 2026. There's two projects I talked to Attorney Welch about this. Even if we can't get this done by the end of the year, we need to have it committed, and we don't have to terminate the TIF necessarily. We just won't get property tax collections or increment into that TIF. $800,000 for the train tower, which I know makes Chad's day, and John Brady's here tonight, so I'm sure they're thrilled, but at least that'll get us started on that particular project. And then $250,000 for the sanitary service in the South Burnham TIF, which I'm sure is going to thrill Ken Reynolds. We're just making everyone happy tonight. The water and sewer fund utility revenues are really about 70% of last year's budget for both residential and commercial, primarily because we had a change in our relationship with South Holland. South Holland, for a lot of other reasons, is going to get most of their supply now from the city of Chicago. That was a decision that they made based on some comments I think that they received from the regulatory authorities on how they receive the water. So again, all of this is really just a natural part of that relationship changing. Expenditures for let's see, this is the funding for the lead service line replacement that I mentioned earlier, which again, it makes the water fund look like we're spending about $21 million when all you've heard me talk about is how we need to get that balance up. We do have a low balance in that fund. It's about $3 million, a little less than $3 million. And I think we need to do stuff with my internal team on how we're going to get that fund back up to a level that's more, really, frankly, at a level that is something you see in towns like Lansing to fund things like the water main issues and all the main breaks that I know trustees are all too well aware of. So that's really my comment here. And then I mentioned the water rate increase, which will go from, again, that's just a pass-through of Hammond to the village residents. But we are going to need to look at what is the capital needs of the water fund as we deal with water main breaks and the constant need for repairs. And that's really it. I wanted to try to get through it quickly. I know we got a long night tonight. And I think the only thing I wanted to mention, lastly, is the board will see at the bottom here, this is the library. Again, these are the TIF funds we just went through. Library has about $7.4 million in their appropriation. I think Lisa has a plan on some capital needs that the library has. So you'll see there's some deficit spending there too, but it's primarily because she's putting a lot of money back into that building. So with that, Mayor Hardy, Administrator Piperowski, trustees, I'll take whatever questions you have. Obviously, again, I want to thank you all for the process, because I think it made tonight's compilation a little bit easier. It goes without saying, this town has a very complicated budget in that, talked about it before, we've got a lot of TIF districts, we've got an airport, an entertainment venue. I'm not sure what we all have here, but it's all good, and I think this budget, I'm really proud of putting it before you. I think it goes without saying, this is a team effort. There's a lot of people that put a lot of work into this, and I think it's something we can hopefully have another operation or another operating year like the ones we've had in the last 6, where it's contributed to the tune of about $3 to $3.5 million a year of those surpluses to give us the room to do the things that you want to do as a board, that Mayor Hardy wants to do, whether it's alleys or other things that we've included in this budget. One last thing, the debt. This is our last payment on our GO debt, so I'll be coming to you, coming to Mayor Hardy and Mr. Piperowski first, but I need to discuss it with Attorney Welch that we're going to present that debt service or that component of the levy being redeployed to pension funding. Okay, so it's going to require just not because individual residents' levies are going up. That's not the case at all. It's just the way the math works and how you're able to exclude debt service from your levy when they look at those 5% increases every year, and you're not able to do the same thing with respect to pension. And that's my view of it. I haven't really had a lot of time to talk to Matt about that, but that's why we're going to probably come before you in the fall before we formally ask you to approve the levy in December.
Good.
So that's really all I have. If anyone has any questions that we have about it.
Brian, I just want to say, I know working hard, but Karina, thank you very much for presenting this. And like I said, we've had the opportunity to meet with the trustees individually, to kind of go over this budget. And as you said, I think there's a lot of good projects in here for a lot of the departments to, keep our village strong and always providing good services for our residents. So, like I said, I look at, the 2.7, for streets and alleys, which that's almost like an increase of more than $500,000 from a year ago, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So, those are all, all good things, so.
And we got the benefit of that, Mayor Hardy, because of the debt that we had paid off, even one of those funds, but to the tune of about $450,000. So, again, this has all been things that we've worked on for years with the Robinson team. But yeah, it's all been, that debt service has been redeployed into streets and alleys.
So a lot of infrastructure, which I like seeing. But I don't know, do the trustees have any questions for Brian Hannigan or Mr. Podgorski?
I don't really have a question, just a comment, attaboy again, obviously, to all the good work that went into this. Really have to appreciate the approach shared when we had the workshops. That made it very easy for us to ask those questions and get the answers as we were going through the budget preparation. At one of those workshops, I was just reflecting on how many years we had gone through the process as a department head with a wish list, and then toward the end of the process being told how many breadcrumbs we would get, out of the pile. And it was usually a little bit disappointing, and we'd have to go back, to the guys and say, well, we didn't get everything, but we got something. And to look at this budget, how strong it is, and how it's balanced with looking at our revenues before we talk about tackling a capital project, and then to hear that our department heads really got just, if not everything, just about everything they asked for, when they came to the gate. So that's quite unprecedented, and I just want our residents to know that when we approach a budget increase of any kind, the question on our mind is, where's the money going to come from? And when that can be explained clearly and conservatively and still be able to tackle all this, that bodes well. Bodes well for the village, for where we're at financially, economically, all of the little things that we need to make that possible. And then to actually see it come to fruition. There wasn't that many years ago where we couldn't drum up, 800,000 for streets. If we wanted to, it just wasn't there. And to see that now develop over the years to the point where it's over $2.5 million is just really amazing. And it's because of good financial planning, economic development, and then staying true to our promise that we don't spend money we don't have. So it's just very positive. I'm very delighted at how this all came to be, and I'm really looking forward to this budget year, getting underway officially.
Thanks, Trustee.
Thank you, trustee. Any other trustees have any other comments? If not, I'm going to open up to public comment. So the public has a right to come on out here, 5 minutes. I would ask that you give your name, your address, and like you said, comments would be basically addressed to Mr. Hannigan or Mr. Podgorski or myself. Any public comment? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Gretchen Combs. And
Gretchen, could you come up to the mic, please?
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Gretchen.
Gretchen Combs. I live at 176th Place, 3658 176th Place, and I just wanted, it was hard to hear him in the back, but I want to know, did he say that my street is going to finally be fixed?
I believe that was up there. I would say yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
This was why I came tonight, because I wanted to comment about
Yeah,
that.
Gretchen, no, you know, we even, I was like, oh, wow, we got to pave that street. And, you know, Mr. Podgorski said, you know, Mayor, we want to do some, you know, infrastructure on that street as well. So that's why it's been delayed a little bit, but on this budget here, yes, that 176th place from Wentworth to Maple is going to get new, I believe, curbs, new water lines, and sewers, I believe.
Well, that's another thing, because they do, that street floods. I have not seen other streets flood in the area, but that street floods.
Yeah.
So here's your street right here, Gretchen. Right here.
Yep, that's it.
Okay?
Thank
Sorry
you.
you couldn't hear me.
They heard Gretchen. Well, Brian, you made more people happy, so thank you. Any other public comment? Yes.
Hi, my name is Karen Killian, 28 at 53, 194th Street in Lansing, and 194th Street in Lansing, and I am here to ask the village's point of view on the Munster Data Center.
Yeah.
I am very concerned. I was a member of the Lansing Country Club.
Yeah, this is calling for the budget right now, and then when we go into our regular board meeting, we'll have public comment, and I will let you speak at that time,
Okay.
all right?
Thanks.
Yes, no, I appreciate it, thank you. Does anyone have anything else that they would like to discuss about the budget? Okay, if not, then we will close that portion off, and I need a motion to adjourn. So moved. Second. We have a motion and a second. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Abbasi.
Aye.
Trustee Zelder.
Aye.
Trustee Allen. Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee
Thank you, Clerk. Now we're going to go into our village board meeting, June 21, 2026. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can I have the clerk please take roll?
Trustee Zelder.
Here.
Trustee Allen. Here. Trustee Abbasi.
Here.
Trustee Lamont.
Here.
Trustee Lamont.
Here.
Thank you, Clerk. Trustees have before them the minutes of the village board meeting on June 16, 2026. Are there any questions or concerns? If not, I need a motion to accept.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, please take the roll.
Sorry. Trustee Zelder.
Aye.
Trustee Allen. Aye. Trustee Abbasi.
Abstain.
Trustee Lamont. And Trustee Valencia.
Thank you. Trustees also have the minutes from the executive session meeting on June 16, 2026. Again, any questions or concerns? If not, I need a motion to accept the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Zelder.
Aye.
Trustee Allen. Aye. Trustee Abbasi.
Abstain.
Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Valencia.
Thank you. We're going to move on into the mayor's report. I have two things on my agenda here tonight. First, I have the presentation of the Life Saving Award. I know we have Al Phillips up here, and this is some good stuff. This is good stuff. And I see Sergeant CASSON is here tonight. I want to be the first to say congratulations, but again, this is a great presentation, so it's all yours, Chief. Thank you.
Very good, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, elected officials, Mr. Dvorsky. Thank you very much for giving us this time. This is a great opportunity for us to highlight some of the great things that our officers do. Unfortunately, they run into tragedy all the time, and we never get a chance to recognize them. So tonight, we have something really good. Sergeant Tim Casson, would you please come up? And also, can we have John Tucker come up as well? So I'm going to share with you, Tim's lieutenant wrote me a nice little letter kind of recommending and summarizing what happened. So I'll go ahead and read through that quickly if I can. On May 11, 2026, at approximately 12:15 p.m., officers were dispatched to Lark Industries located at 19043 Wentworth Avenue for a report of a man choking. While officers were en route, dispatch advised that a male subject was turning blue and was no longer breathing. Sergeant Casson, who was in the area, immediately responded to the scene. Upon arrival, he observed several LARC members attempting to dislodge food from the obstruction. The male subject was blue in the face and not breathing. Sergeant Casson quickly took control of the situation and began performing life-saving measures utilizing the Heimlich maneuver. After Sergeant Casson initiated the maneuver, the food obstruction was successfully dislodged from the subject's airway, and the male began breathing on his own again. Due to Sergeant Casson's quick response and proper application of the Heimlich maneuver, the food obstruction was successfully dislodged, allowing the subject to breathe again. It was Sergeant Casson's calm demeanor, rapid assessment of the situation, and precise action that prevented a tragic outcome. It is without question that the subject is alive today because of Sergeant Casson's swift intervention. Congratulations, Ted. In the audience today. John wants to thank you for saving his life.
Thank you.
Get you a little between you two. That's okay.
Thank you.
Now again, we get the opportunity to do this more times than you actually realize, but we never get a chance to highlight some of this great stuff. We don't have many successes like this that we did tonight. And Ted, congratulations, well deserved. So, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Come on.
Sorry,
Jerry, you like to often say a word before our officers leave. I know they're looking to get back and answer calls.
Yeah, always get a good idea after everybody leaves the room, so I'll say very quickly, you know, in police work, and during the monthly report, it's always training, right? Training. We spend a significant amount of time and effort and funds on training our officers because what they do, emergency responders, save lives. Could be a traffic accident, cars on fire, could all the different things that our police and firemen do. But to actually have it in your career highlights, that I know for a fact that I showed up at the scene and a man was dying before my very eyes. And because of my training and what I was able to do, I applied my training and the man is alive today because I did my job well. That could make you feel good inside, but if you're the only one that knows it, it's not right. It's important to celebrate the victories along the way. There's a lot of bad things that happen that cause you, maybe to rethink your career, at the end of a busy day or things don't go well. But when we can look back at the day, even the year, and say, well, I've got one highlight that I will not forget because, the man was checking out and all of a sudden now he's alive and well. And that's not only something to celebrate, but it's something to be thankful for, the ability that we invest in our officers so that they can do the good job and answer the call when they get on scene. So again, congratulations.
Any words that you like to say, sir?
I'm not a man of many words. I just appreciate the village of Lansing giving me the opportunity to be of service.
All right. Well, great job, and thank you for saving his life.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep, you bet. Thank you. Thank you, Trustee. That's good stuff. I like that. We have a great village. We have great employees. And as Trustee Zellner said, there's another prime example of great training on our fire department, our police department, our public works, and all the employees throughout the village. Take it very seriously. So, yeah, great job. I'm going to move on. I have a resolution here, 1561, appointing Glenn Williams to the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners. I know last meeting we had the bio for the trustees, so I did speak with Glenn. Unfortunately, he had a little bit of an emergency meeting that he had to attend to, that he wouldn't be able to be here tonight. But he just says that if he does get voted in, and my hope is that he does, that he's going to be honored to be on the Fire and Police Commission. So again, what I'm going to ask the trustees for is a motion on this resolution.
Mayor, I'll make that motion, resolution 1561, appointing Glenn Williams to the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners.
Second.
Great. We have a motion and a second on resolution 1561, appointing Glenn Williams to the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners. Are there any questions or discussion by the trustees? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Zelderman.
Aye.
Trustee Abasi.
Aye.
Trustee Navitz. Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Valencia.
Aye.
I appreciate that. I know Glenn will do a fine job, but thank you all. That's all I have under the mayor's report. We're going to go to a village administrator's report. Mr. Podgorski.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of procedural notes for this evening. We all sat through the public hearing a few minutes ago. The finishing touch to the public hearing for appropriations is now that budget and appropriation rolls into an ordinance, which is going to be ordinance 26030, and it'll be considered for approval in just a few minutes under the finance portion of the meeting. So just from a procedural standpoint, that's how the budget and appropriations becomes a formal document. And then I wanted to call attention to the fact that we will be later in this meeting adjourning to an executive session for items pertaining to real estate. We will be coming back out of that executive session, so whether the mayor asks the room to clear or whether we go into the room off to the side, there will be an executive session, but there will be action after that. However, public comment will be before that executive session. And I just wanted to thank the mayor and clerk and the trustees. It's been 5 weeks since our last meeting, a lot of stuff on the agenda tonight. And we've been, really right up until the last minute, we've had some revised bids and the appropriations ordinance and redevelopment agreement. So I just wanted to thank everybody for being flexible and rolling with, again, it's talking to Matt on the way in, it's nice to have the extra week in July and August, but it makes for these meetings that take place, and there's a lot on the agenda. So I appreciate everybody being flexible, and hopefully that explains a few technical things. And Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Podgorski. And again, thank you for your hard work as we went through that budget cycle. I know you put a lot of hard work involved, a lot of time involved with our finance director, Mr. Hannigan. So thank you. Moving on to our village attorney's report, Mr. Walsh.
Nothing to report, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. We're going to move on to finance and HRC. Well, we have Trustee Smith is absent, so Trustee Lansing will take Trustee Smith's place.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to start off by making a motion. We approve total payroll for the periods ending June 26, 2026 and July 10, 2026 in the amount of $1,599,903.93, and also for total accounts payable from the weeks of June 17th through July 21st in the total amount of $4,062,926.04.
We have a motion and a second on total payroll being $1,599,903.93 and total accounts payable for $4,062,926.04. Are there any questions or discussions by the trustees? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Valencia.
Aye.
Trustee Abasi.
Aye.
Trustee, Zelderman.
Aye.
Novitzon. And Lamont.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion, we approve resolution number, hold on a second. Ordinance number 26-030, making appropriations for corporate purposes for the Village of Lansing for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2026 and ending April 30th, 2027.
We have a motion and a second on ordinance number 26-030, making appropriations for corporate purposes for the Village of Lansing for the fiscal year beginning May 1, 2026 and ending April 30th, 2027. Again, any questions or discussion by the trustees? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Valencia.
Aye.
Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Abbasi.
Aye.
Trustee Zeldin.
Aye.
Trustee Donaldson. Aye.
All right, I also have Finance Insurance Monthly Report. Do you still want to talk some more, Mr. Hankin?
I had one other item. I know this is a reserve that I've discussed with Trustee Abbasi in prior years. He was the trustee in charge of the Finance and Insurance Department. But our health insurance reserve is going into the year with about $1.5 million, so it's a healthy reserve to also help us with the insurance fluctuations in employee medical costs. So I was remiss in not mentioning that on this line. So thank you, trustee. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Hannigan. That concludes my report, too.
Thank you, trustee. And then we're just going to let you stay right on the floor here, sir, for airport and insurance. Trustee Valencia.
Thank you, Mayor. Tom, you want to report out this for the month of,
Thank you, trustee. On June 8th, airport staff and Crawford Murphy and Tilly engineers met with Metropolitan Construction Company to discuss the Quonset Hut door project, IGQ 5199. Mr. Dan Dorman from Metropolitan stated that they are ready to begin, but we're still waiting for the notice to proceed from the Illinois Department of Transportation. On June 11th, the Safari Life Youth Center from Linwood, Illinois visited the airport for a field trip. Mr. James McCoy from Flightline Systems, Ms. Gwen Hammermeister from Region Flyer Flight School, and Mr. Frederick from Summer Skies Flight School spoke and gave valuable information to the children. They asked a lot of questions and enjoyed their trip. On June 18th, airport staff and CMT engineers had their regular monthly meeting. The main topic was project number IGQ 5243, Rehabilitate Runway 927. The IDOT letting for this project was completed on June 12th, 2026. It was awarded to the construction company. The construction engineering submittal was approved on June 15th, 2026. Maintenance issues. On June 1st, Rhino Seal Coating Company seal coated the asphalt on half of the parking lot. Then returned on June 15th to seal coat and strike the remainder of the parking lot. On June 8th, USA Fire Protection performed an annual inspection of the sprinkler systems at 3249 Airport Drive, which is Liddy Q and Airport Administration Building, and 3289 Airport Drive, the Enterprise Building. They found both systems to be in good working order. On June 10th, Mr. Michael Barker of DVT Transportation Company completed a quarterly inspection of the localizer, specialized ground-based navigation aid. On June 18th, the meeting was held at the airport conference room regarding the 250th anniversary of American Celebration on June 27th. Representatives from all village departments that attended. Everyone did a great job and the event was spectacular. Thanks to all for all the job well done. That's all I have tonight, trustee. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for all the work you and your team do at the airport. That's all I have.
Thank you, trustee. We're going to move on to fire and economic development. Trustee Abbasi.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion that we would adopt resolution number 1562, authorizing and approving an application for the American Discovery Trail Society's Trail Town Initiative.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on resolution 1562, authorizing and approving an application for the American Discovery Trail Society Trail Town Initiative. Are there any questions or discussions? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Abbasi.
Aye.
Trustee Zeldin. Trustee Donaldson. Aye. Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Valencia.
Aye.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion that we would adopt resolution number 1563, authorizing and approving a proposal from Underground Piping Valve Company for the purchase of fire hydrants.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on resolution 1563, authorizing and approving a proposal for Underground Pipe and Valve Company for the purchase of fire hydrants. Again, any questions or discussion by the trustees? If not, Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Bassi.
Aye.
Trustee Zeldin.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson. Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Valencia.
Thank you. Chief Coingo, to provide us your monthly report for June.
I sure will, Trustee Bassi. I will keep it brief as well. I know we've got kind of a big night ahead of us. Again, for the month of June 2026, we did see 540 monthly incidents. Again, that's our highest monthly total for 2026 so far. So we continue to just see our call volume, kind of ratchet up. It's nice because we've been able to get the personnel now to back us up. We're close to being fully staffed. So fire department's sitting real good when it comes to staffing. Real quickly, just touching upon training, for the month of June, the training division focused on hazardous material training, identification, and response. Our crews went out and practiced setting up decontamination corridors for both technical and emergency decon. We also went out into the community and visited dedicated tank wash, which is a spot that handles some hazardous chemicals, to view their procedures for cleaning hazardous materials from over-the-road tankers. Fire prevention and education. The Bureau completed over 70 fire inspections, including 5 inspections of new businesses throughout the village. We also installed 11 new tenured sealed battery smoke alarms in some of the residences here in town. Also, as Tom mentioned, from the airport, we were thrilled to participate in America's 250th celebration at the airport, as well as Fox Point. Great event. We had great weather. Again, appreciated everybody. Just being able to work with all the other village departments. We were able to attend the Lansing Public Library block party. And again, we just did some additional fire safety education throughout the community. That is all I have, Trustee.
Thank you, Chief. Commissioner Podgorski, Economic Development Report.
Thank you, Trustee. A couple of quick items here. Village finalized a strong communities program grant application with Illinois Housing Development Authority. Submitted that at the end of June. We've had some SCP grants before. It's helped us with the rehab or demolition of single-family homes. So we're applying again in hopes that we'll be awarded some additional monies to help with residential blight and improving some single-family homes. We're working on a couple of renewals and renewal for Walmart. Their Class 8 is coming up for renewals. We expect to maybe have them here in August. Continuing to work with Napleton Kia on their redevelopment agreement, hoping that might be right in August or September. And then working with Environmental Protection Industries, Inc. on a Phase 2 environmental report, 19530 Green Bay. It's a competition transmission. Building is for sale. This is an area that presents mostly as manufacturing, but it's now Zone B2, so we're working to lighten up the uses in that area, and this Phase 2 is going to help in that regard. There is a hearing in front of the Planning and Zoning Board next Wednesday for a petitioner that is interested in buying that property. So that's kind of the highlights, and I'm happy to talk to the trustees offline about anything else.
Thank you, Administrator Podgorski. Bearing no further on this side.
Thank you, Trustee. We're going to move on to Police and Public Works, Trustee Zeldin.
Thank you, Mayor. We have one action item tonight. I move that we approve Resolution 1564 appropriating the sum of $1,855,000 for motor fuel tax funds for purposes of maintaining streets and highways under the applicable provisions of the Illinois Highway Code from May 1, 2026 to April 30, 2027.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on Resolution 1564 appropriating the sum of $1,855,000 of motor fuel tax funds for purposes of maintaining streets and highways under the applicable provisions of the Illinois Highway Code from May 1, 2026 to April 30th, 2027. Are there any questions or discussions by the trustees? Not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Zeldin.
Aye.
Trustee Bassi.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson. Trustee Lamont. Trustee Valencia.
Thank you. Moving on to monthly reports. Chief Phillips, would you like to hit some highlights from the June 26th police monthly report?
Very good. Thank you, Trustee. In June, the 911 Center managed over 7,000 calls, and of that, over 3,700 were for police calls for service. As trustee indicated earlier, our training seems to be one of our top priorities and will continue to be so. Last month, we had several in SWAT school, along with active threat instructor, SMART team training, rifle tactics, and more. During the month, the officers conducted over 640 traffic stops. Of that, they wrote 805 traffic citations. They had 197 community policing contacts, and 863 premise checks were conducted during the month. With that, there were 79 arrests that were made, and $18,000 in administrative tow fees were collected. LPD attended the block party at the library, Bethel Church taco dinner and car show, cruise night, farmers market, and Juneteenth at Fox Point. LPD also participated in the annual torch run again this year. This is an opportunity to show our support and raise money for Illinois Special Olympics. We picked up the torch at 193rd and Burnham Avenue from Linwood PD and ran northbound where several residents cheered us on, along with staff from the Municipal Center. When we got to 175th Street, several Special Olympians joined us with the run until we handed it off to Calumet City. We were able to raise over $4,000 with the support from our community, so we wanted to thank our community for that. Finally, as Chief Quang alluded to earlier, we did assist with an incredible fireworks and drone show at the Lansing Airport. Bethel Church welcomed thousands of residents to help view the show, and a lot of hard work went into planning and coordinating this event. It went off without a hitch. Mayor, Ken, Michelle, you guys did a great job. I just really wanted to comment, more importantly, that we did not have one single negative interaction with our community. Just because of all the planning, all the hard work that went into that, we had nothing but a great turnout, great show for our Lansing residents, so I just wanted to thank you all for that. That's all I have tonight, Trustee.
Thank you, Chief. Job well done there by both of fireworks show. Things running smoothly like that, our residents kind of take, and I do take for granted when it goes well, everybody goes home. But the planning that goes into that and the extra man hours, not only in planning, but in covering all of the stations that need to be covered. And if my eyes didn't deceive me, I thought, sure, I saw Administrator Podgorski directing traffic at Burnham Avenue and Lansing Road. So I don't know if you're like taking an intern now for traffic direction or what's going on there.
He was bottom person on seniority, so he got the low man on totem pole.
Well, he must have done a good job because nobody had a wreck out there either. So
You did a fine job out there. I can add less than that.
good job. No, it was a great night, and I received nothing but positive comments all the way around. Truly outstanding. Never saw a drone show like that in amongst the fireworks. So guys really did us out there, and I know that I was the only one that really appreciated that. So good job. Moving on to public works, Superintendent Holmes will take us into the highlights for June.
Thank you very much, Trustee Zillow. Today, as far as I'd like to present the opening as far as the new Public Works Operations Center, was slated to open in early September. We have a target as far as that we're looking at for the second week of September. That is our current tentative date right now, tentative timeline right now. Major project highlights. The interior construction work is completed. We have completed all of the ceiling, walls, painting, flooring, carpets, lighting, doors, and plumbing. HVAC has all been installed. Other items that are remaining as far as our security cameras, network infrastructure, access card readers, which I'm sure we'll be on this evening. We're working closely with JMA as far as project managers in order to continue to look for any minor touch-up work that is needed as far as in the facility. Before I conclude, as far as I'd like to give a special thanks as far as to Mayor Brian Hardy, Administrator Pogorski, as well as the village trustees for attending as far as coming down to our new facility and taking walks and tours with us and walking through this, not only taking walks and tours, but actually leading the project and initiative and working with us in order to make sure that the village of Lansing Public Works and Emergency Operations Center is actually going to have one of the best as far as emergency operations centers in the Midwest. So thank you very much, trustees, Mayor Hardy, and Administrator Pogorski. That's my report for the month of June. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Superintendent. Mayor, that's all I have for this meeting.
Thank you, Trustee. We're going to move on to Building, IT, L&N, Marketing, Trustee Lamont.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple action items today. I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 1565, authorizing and approving an agreement of purchase and sale of the property located at 18289 Burnham Avenue.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on Resolution 1565, authorizing and approving an agreement of purchase and sale of the property located at 18289 Burnham Avenue. Any questions or discussion by the trustees? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Nelson. Aye. Trustee Valencia.
Aye.
Trustee Bassi.
Aye.
Trustee Zalman.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 1566, authorizing and approving an option agreement for the property located at 3240 Ridge Road.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on Resolution 1566, authorizing and approving an option agreement for the property located at 3240 Ridge Road. Any questions or discussions by the trustees? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Nelson. Aye. Trustee Valencia.
Aye.
Trustee Bassi.
Aye.
Trustee Zalman.
Aye. Last, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 1567, authorizing and approving proposals from 22 VIII Technologies for an access control system and cameras for the Public Works EOC building and a camera connector system.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on Resolution 1567, authorizing and approving proposals from the 22 VETS Technologies for an access control system and cameras for the Public Works and EOC building and a camera connector system. Any questions or discussion by the trustees? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Lamont. Trustee Nelson. Aye. Trustee Valencia.
Aye.
Trustee Bassi.
Aye.
Trustee Zalman.
Aye. Next, we'll move to one of our 4 monthly reports. We'll start with our building commissioner's order.
Thank you, Trustee Lamont. The Building Department issued 206 permits reflecting $2,361,747.45 invested back into our community. Our inspectors have performed 156 home inspections and 88 rental inspections. Our code enforcement officers issued 285 violation notices. These notices do not reflect the numerous conversations with our residents, either by phone or in person, to resolve issues and avoid notices being written. We have 4 new businesses in town. Granny's and Nanny's Learning is at 3457 173rd Street. This is a home daycare. We have Olivia D. Laris at 177 26 Exchange Avenue. Apartment 1, this is also a home daycare. We have Tropical Smoothie Cafe located at 17645 Torrance Avenue. This is a fast casual restaurant. Children's Ark and Safety LLC, 18069 Brittany Lane. And this is also a home daycare. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you, Trustee Lamont.
Short staffed for a little time, and now we're fully staffed, so thank you very much for the hard work. Next, we'll move to our IT Director, Vivian.
As I grab it. All right, thank you so much, Trustee Lamont. As the summer seasons, we're right in full swing with it. We are continuing on with all the work that we're going to do towards the EOC, Emergency Operations Center, and the new Public Works building. So thank you so much for all of you as you passed our ordinance tonight, as you passed it so that we can move forward with 22 vets and getting all the cameras as well as the access controls situated in the building. Next, we're going to be working with also getting all the servers and all the different switches and all the different components that are also necessary to build the network over there. So want to make sure we had access control as well as camera system, just to make sure that security is top-notch and ready to go with that. We are going to move forward pretty quickly now with some of that as well. We are also planning for the second half of the Fox Point season. That includes the video walls and the different things that we're doing with LNN. And we will continue to move forward with that and work with our venues team. They've been outstanding with all the different things coming up with future events, even at the Ford Hangar. So we're just, as I said, working within all the different departments to find which ways that IT can help facilitate the workload that many of the staff are doing. So with that, that concludes my report for the technology department. And can I go to the LNN food safe as well? All right. For LNN, we will continue to, we've worked with the venue staff to capture a lot of the footage for the Great American Cookout and 250th America Great celebration. So we're excited to be able to showcase much of that. And we have one last video that should be released later this week that will kind of encompass all aspects of the 250 that we've been working with. So we're also working with, we're continuing on with our This Week in Lansing, which allows us to highlight all the different events that we have throughout the village in a given week. Last one we had was obviously the Great American Cookout, the Chicago Experience Concert, as well as we had footage from Fearless, the Taylor Swift tribute, as well as the Hairbreaking Ball. We work with our venues team as well with our Spotify ads. If some of you listen to Spotify, you'll definitely hear some of the different ads that we do to promote some of the different events at Fox Point, including the past weekend, Band Bikes and Brews. All right, and I would just like to also thank Ken Reynolds, Michelle Henderson, Haley Klausner, Rebecca Palumbo for their assistance in collaboration in producing so much of these promotional campaigns. So with that, we are also working towards our 100th anniversary. I won't say much more about that because I'm sure Ken will. With that, we'll close. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And then lastly, we'll have a report from our communication director, Haley.
Thank you. So over the past month, I've continued managing the Village and Fox Point websites, social media channels, press releases, event promotions, and public information updates. A significant focus during this period was coordinating communications for Lansing's America 250 celebration, including the Great American Cookout and fireworks celebration. It's included developing promotional materials, managing websites, social media content, coordinating resident communications, and supporting media outreach before, during, and after the event. I have continued promoting Fox Point's summer programming series, including the Wednesday night concert series, Friday night lights, the farmers market, and Bands, Bikes, and Brews. I've continued working to expand awareness and enrollment in Civic Ready, while also coordinating communications related to recent storm cleanup efforts and other public service announcements, such as heating and cooling centers. And work is currently underway for the next edition of Looking at Lansing. And looking ahead, I'm going to continue to support communications for the village's upcoming events and initiatives while working to strengthen the village's digital presence and provide residents with timely, accurate, and engaging information. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's all I have for this meeting, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee. We're going to move on to Youth Center and Venue Operations, Trustee Novis.
Thank you, Mayor. No items on the agenda tonight, so I will pass it to Anisha for the Youth Center report.
Good evening. Thank you, Amy. For June, I am happy to say that we opened our doors finally after almost a year of remodeling and working on the youth center. So we kicked it off with 5th grade day. We had hosted both Oakland as well as Coolidge, over 110 kids in the building. So needless to say, we had a good time. The house was packed. They They were happy to see the new and improved youth center. We are working daily to get the center all the way completed, but they were pleased with what we have thus far. I attended Memorial Junior High's graduation celebration at Fox Point. That was a beautiful day for the kids. And then we kicked off our summer programming, starting with 30 summer campers. And then we had a Girls Wellness Day. We collaborated with Cook County Southland Juvenile Justice Council with a paint and sip party as well as yoga. And then we did a sound bath for the girls, just introduced them to breathing exercises. It was really nice. They got, they were able to paint, they were able to do yoga, they did breathing exercises, and then they walked away with little wellness bags to just help them throughout the summer and prepare for the school year. And then our boys also had some social components during the first day for summer camp. And then as far as professional development, we are continuing to work with After School HQ as we convert to a full digital system. I attended a data tracking workshop with After School Alliance, as well as all of our youth center staff completed their mandated order training for the 2026-27 school year. And I'm happy to say that we officially have attendance now, so we have about 35 kids in the building daily. Started off small. As I said, we're continuing to upgrade the building, so we're looking forward to a new school year. That's all I have, Amy. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for all the hard work you put into making the fifth grade days fun. I know Haley had a blast, so.
Oh, and I would like to also shout out to the police department. This wasn't in here, but it made me think about the training. Unfortunately, we had to do that shelter in place for one of the fifth grade days, but kudos to you guys because we did do knowledge training with you, so we were able to maintain composure with the 110 Coolidge kids who were there with us, an additional 3.5 hours on 100+ degree days. So in full, like we absolutely were able to see what training does in panic situations. So wanted to say that because I definitely thought about it. But that's all. Thank you.
Anisha, I just got to say that building looks great. You know, hats off to the trustees,
Yeah.
you know, and all the departments for, you know, being a part of that. It's great, you know, to see our youth, you know, have a building like that. And even the outside, but, you know, the inside, you know, had the opportunity to walk through with you on that. And that was, again, really stunning. I know there's a few other things that we kind of want to get done in there, but.
It's coming along.
Yeah, you're right. The process is moving along, but again, hats off to you for, you know, sticking it out and helping those kids out in the different locations. And now they're back there, and it's a beautiful building.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Now we'll move into the venue operations report with Ken. Mr. Reynolds.
Thanks, trustee.
No,
I didn't turn
doctor.
Apparently there was a cookout at Fox Point because every other department has mentioned it, so it must have gone well. It was a very interesting June for us. The Fox Point concert season opened on June 3rd with a record new Wednesday crowd of 2,400 in attendance to watch the group 16 Candles. We had kind of a perfect storm of perfect weather, a group that got rained out last year, opening night. And so they just kept coming in. So it was a really good night. Followed the week after by the start of our farmers market, which debuted on June 9th with nearly 30 vendors in attendance. The crowd was super steady, and early feedback from our vendors and guests was at the other June markets as well was overwhelmingly positive. And then, as this man to the left of me can attest to, in June it just started to rain, and then it rained, and then it rained, and it rained some more. And so we had two rain-out concerts, June 10th and 17th. Those have both been rescheduled to September 9th and September 16th. And those are updated on our website. We had a very successful Juneteenth event on June 19th because it fell on Friday this year. Our Lansing Human Relations Commission partnered with us, with the venues department, to utilize the entire venue this year. We had about 1,500 people at that event, and we're very proud that we were able to expand the scope of that event this year. As many have alluded to, we had a Great American Cookout on June 27th, which was part one of our two-part American 250 celebration. We had about 700 guests that were at Fox Point during those 4 hours, and we had multiple attractions for the people that were our guests. Our sincere thanks to the Lansing Public Library staff. They did a great job. They administered their administration as well for partnering with us and adding a huge variety of American 250 themed activities to enhance the event. And then finally, we had some aluminum panels that have blown off in the past. We were able to get those completely fixed and replaced and secured so that underneath our pavilion, which is one of our prize areas there, is now completely reinforced, and those panels are all replaced and brand new. At the Lansing Sports Complex, we had games scheduled for 18 of the 30 dates. 15 of those were completed, 3 were rained out. The Lansing volleyball season opened on June 15th and will play on Mondays and Wednesdays through early August. The Lansing Little League District 6 tournaments for 12U and 10U were both booked for mid-July. And as was the case in May, our concession stand showed increased sales from June of 2025. And then as far as the Ford Hangar goes, I want to announce, for those that don't know, haven't seen it on social media platforms, there's a new website dedicated to the Ford Hangar 100 event. It's pretty straightforward, www.fordhangar100.org. That website is strictly dedicated to the complete restoration of the hangar and the events that we are going to have there in mid-September to celebrate the 100th anniversary. So we encourage everyone to check that out and take a look at this website, which will be running for quite a while, even after the events, as we continue to make awareness of the efforts being in place to restore that building. And then we have several applications for events in early September and early October that have been received and are being reviewed for events in the Ford Hangar. And then I'll close with, even though it's not really a venue, I know PD and FD were mentioned, and they were fantastic the night of the fireworks. But the two guys to the left and right of me, airport staff put a lot of time in. If you had seen, when fireworks are all gone and everybody leaves, there's a mess. And so our airport staff worked diligently with the company to get that cleared. And our public works staff did a lot before anybody was out there and a lot after everybody was gone to make the event very successful. And so all I know is I'm very, very happy that that event was in 78 degrees and not the next week when it was in the mid-90s. So we're fortunate, we're very proud of that event that we held, and we'll continue to review internally with all of the departments for future events that can be held at other places in Lansing, not only at our venues. Thank you, Trustee.
Thank you, Ken, and thank you again for all the hard work you put in to make that day perfect from beginning to end, as well as every other staff member and volunteer to help make it happen. That's all I'm here.
Thank you, Trustee. We're going to move on to public comment now. So public comment is for anyone that would like to come up to the mic over here. I do ask, though, that you give your name, your full name, and your address, so the clerk can go ahead and just put that, document that into the minutes. But again, anyone that wanted to kind of come up, the floor is yours for 5 minutes. Yes. Yes. Welcome.
Thanks. We'll try and get this right this time. My name is Karen Killian, address 2853 194th Street. And I'm here to just voice my concerns about the Munster Data Center. I know that it's not being proposed in Lansing, but it's going to affect Lansing terribly if this gets approved. He was talking about the increased water rates. Wait till you see what happens to the water rates if they approve a data center over there on the Munster side of the Lansing Country Club. It'll affect the environment, it'll affect the schools, the noise levels are incredibly terrible for anybody living within miles of the area of a data center. So I'm just wondering, like, is Lansing even thinking about or talking to Munster about their proposal and what they're thinking? Do we have any ideas?
Well, I mean, I can address a couple points. That you are correct, that it is not on any Illinois side. Yes, I do have some contacts with Munster. I feel that we have a pretty good open relationship, and there's been really no talk of them to build a data center there. I believe there were some zoning changes, and that might fall into that category of a possible data center into that ordinance or that zoning. But like I said, I will say, as the mayor of Lansing, I will say that I would hope that Lansing, all the councilmen in Munster, listen to the people and their voices. Because to me, that's what a true politician, a servant, should do. You know, if you want my opinion, I will say that I sure hope that they listen to the residents, and if there is some issues, you know, like I said, the noise levels or energy problems, that they definitely hear those things out. I do not want our residents to have to hear that, you know, or see that. Water would come not from Lansing, just I want everybody to know, and energy, you know, the electric wouldn't come from Lansing. So that would not, do any changes for that. But again, I will just say that I hope, and I really seriously hope, that Munster listens to the people and their voices, because that's real, you know, who is going to ultimately affect.
So too, because the Lansing Country Club has a beautiful lake. There's so much wildlife there. The forest preserve that we have that I use like all the time, walking my dog, and I just know that if that were to come to the area, it would inhibit a lot of wildlife. It would not.
You're stronger in numbers. That's what I will always say. Okay.
Yeah, I try to get more people to come here, but.
Well, you know what? And again, you know, yes, it could affect, if it does happen, if they get a data center there. It's right now, it's not on the books to be a data center. Like I said, it would affect our Lansing residents, and that would, I would be terribly upset if that happened. Where it affected our Lansing residents. So I'm just going to say, I hope that they hear the voices of the people. Okay?
There's a lot of people.
If it does come down to that. And again, I don't know if any of the other trustees or anyone else wants to kind of, you know, touch this. I know it's kind of it's a touchy matter. Again, you know, as the mayor of Lansing, I can assure our Lansing residents it's not going to happen on the Lansing side. I can tell you that. But I will hope that councilmen in the town of Munster hear the voices of the people.
I'm going to hear mine too. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else have anything for public comment? If not, I'm sorry. Good evening. I'm doing well, thank you. Take your time.
Hi, I'm Lisa Sullivan. My address is 3348 North Schultz Drive. I wanted to say thank you to you, actually. When the power went out for 3 days on Schultz Drive, you showed up and you were present. Our power went out, of course, because of the storm, but the delay was because of a neighbor and getting access to their yard. And you showed up, and that doesn't normally happen in all neighborhoods. So I just wanted to tell you how much we appreciate you actually showing up and being there for us and getting the power on. You said in an hour, it was all within an hour. So I just want to say thank you very much.
Well, you know what, I was privileged to help you guys out on that. But that's what mayors should do, right? I mean, we all need to work together and build our community. And it was a challenging time. I mean, it was a challenging time for our fire department, our police department, our public works. You know, they were out there just, you know, clearing the streets and making sure people were safe. And I mean, there was one time that we had almost half of Lansing out. And I was on constant call with ComEd. My main concerns were, you know, lift stations, that we don't lose our power to lift stations, which I don't think we would because we have generators, and our nursing homes and our senior homes. That was a top priority that happened. And then, of course, then getting out to our residents. But again, it was an honor that I was able to meet all of you out there in Schultz Park. And I was glad that Bonita from ComEd, she was always right there for me. She took all my calls. Again, but thank you. But I have to thank our public works, our fire department, and our police department, because staff there, they just did a tremendous job. You know, we just got hammered, as Mr. Reynolds said, with rain, but it was wind and lightning and wind, and I was like, dear Lord, can it stop? You know, but anyway, so we'll pray that it stops for a little while. But again, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any public comment? If not, I am going to close that portion off. Do the trustees have anything for old business? Again, I'm just going to say, as the mayor of Lansing, I'm so proud of all our departments and trustees and everyone that came out for that 250th celebration that we had at Cookout. And that was great to see our Lansing residents come out and enjoy themselves. There was, I think, Mr. Podgorski, him and Mr. Winters did a lot of cooking. Thank you, sir. I appreciated that. And Ken Reynolds and his staff did an amazing job. And then going on to our fire department and our police department, you guys made sure that our residents were safe. And, you know, public works, as Ken said, with our airport staff, you know, made sure everything was cleaned up. You know, we were blessed at Bethel Church. We were able to use their parking lot and that big grassy area, and we just knew that logistically that was the area for us to use. Again, I'm going to be honest with you, that took 10 months, almost 11 months of preparation to do that. And, you know, I will say, I think we got it down. You know, am I going to come out and say we're going to have more fireworks? I would love to. I'm going to definitely talk to the trustees, but when and if we do, it's definitely going to be at that location, just because I said logistically it worked out, and Bethel was very, very appreciative on how swiftly we made sure that that area stayed clean and everything else. So they're welcoming us to come back on any other events. Yeah. So, but anyway, again, thank you to all of my staff. It's a totally enjoyable time to be working with everyone here. And we got so many other great things happening here. You know, this is a great village. You know, we got, you know, this 100th anniversary of the Ford Hangar. How exciting is that? We have, you know, the Discovery Trail, you know, relay coming through in October. You know, these are things that, you know, are history-making things that, you know, a lot of towns don't even participate in that kind of stuff. But this village does do that. And again, it's because of the hard-working staff that we have and the trustees that all believe in wanting to make sure that our residents, you know, have, you know, again, infrastructure, but also community, you know, participation. You know, it's so important. So again, I couldn't be prouder. So thank you on that, Phil.
Mayor, to be clear, there's no more fireworks this year.
I don't think so.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, unless we might do something at the airport. No, I'm kidding. That's okay. But we may have to start at least the talking. But anyway, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag yet because I want to talk to the trustees, and I know we want to dissect things, but it was a great event. So, again, do the trustees have anything for old business? I know I'm kind of being winded here, but I'm proud of what we did. I need a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss matters pertaining to the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body.
So moved.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Trustee Abbasi.
Aye.
Trustee Zeldin.
Aye.
Trustee Nominson. Trustee Valencia.
Aye.
Trustee Lamont.
Aye. So what we're going to do is the trustees and the board and our village attorney and Mr. Podgorski, we're going to go into the trustees room. And then so everyone can kind of just sit here. I would think it should only take maybe 10 minutes. Okay? Again, don't hold it to that. But I'm thinking 10 minutes.
They're outstanding.
Back to work.
And the kids are somewhere else.
Good evening. We are back from executive session here, and we are going to go right back into our meeting. So I'm going to ask the clerk to do roll call, please.
Trustee Zeldin.
Here.
Trustee Nominson. Here. Trustee Abbasi.
Here.
Trustee Lamont.
Here.
Trustee Valencia.
Here.
All right, so we're going to go into new business. We have new business. We have ordinance 26-031 authorizing and approving a tax increment financing redevelopment agreement with Water Advanced Treatment and Environmental Resources LLC located at 16770 Chicago Avenue. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second, and I will read it again. Ordinance number 26-031, authorizing and approving a tax increment financing redevelopment agreement with Water Advanced Treatment and Environmental Resources LLC located at 16770 Chicago Avenue. Any questions or discussions by the trustees? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Abbasi.
Aye.
Trustee Zeldin.
Aye.
Trustee Nominson. Trustee Valencia.
Aye.
Trustee Lamont.
Aye. Congratulations, Rico. We're looking forward to working with you. We're going to move on to Resolution 1568, authorizing and approving an agreement of purchase and sale of the property located at 17332 Lorenzo Avenue. Can I have a motion on that? We have a motion and a second. I will read it again. Resolution 1568, authorizing and approving an agreement of purchase and sale of the property located at 17332 Lorenzo Avenue. Is there any discussion or concern by the trustees? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Abbasi.
Aye.
Trustee Zeldin.
Aye.
Trustee Nominson. Trustee Valencia.
Aye.
Trustee Lamont.
Aye. Well, thank you. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Abbasi.
Aye.
Trustee Zeldin.
Aye.
Trustee Nominson. Trustee Valencia.
Aye.
Trustee Lamont.
Aye. I am going to take just 2 minutes for the clerk to get ready and set up for our committee call. So that will end our village board meeting. Whoever wants to stay, God bless you, you can stay.
I turn back to my right hand.
Yes.
Sorry.
Not a go? I'm gonna wait till my knees get nasty. I'm so glad less to go. You know when you retired? Why you come back and play pickup games?
Meeting here, July 21, 2026. Clerk, would you please take roll?
Trustee Zeldin.
Here.
Trustee Johnson. Here. Trustee Boston.
Here.
Trustee Lamont.
Here.
Thank you. Trustees have before them the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting on June 16, 2026. Are there any questions or concerns? If not, I need a motion to accept. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Zeldin.
Aye.
Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Boston.
Abstain.
Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Valencia.
Thank you. Under the mayor's report, I do not have anything. We're going to go right into the village administrator's report. Mr. Podgorski.
Thank you, Mayor. One item here this evening. Rico Martinez told me he wanted to set the record for the most times on the agenda. So he was in the board meeting, and now he's back here tonight in the committee meeting. So I want to welcome Water Advanced Treatment and Environmental Resources and Rico and his team. Tonight we have I think this will probably be the last board item that requires action. We've done the special use for the project at 16770 Chicago Ave. We've done the deed in lieu foreclosure, which allowed the village to acquire the property. We just approved a redevelopment agreement which contemplates conveyance of the property to Water LLC, and now this is the tax incentive, the county tax incentive that will lower the assessment from 25% to 10%, equivalent to what a residential tax rate would be. It's a very popular incentive. And to present that, I want to welcome Angela Messeros and I think Mike Rashala from Sandrick Law Firm, and Rico and Steve, if you guys want to come up with them, you're more than welcome to. The board has the application in their packet. I think our board's pretty familiar with Class 8, but Mike, turn it over to you for a presentation.
Sure. I'll be brief since I know it's been a long night. So as Administrator Podgorski was saying, Class 8 is one of the primary economic development tools in the Southland. It helps businesses like this take over abandoned properties. This property in particular, I believe, has over $150,000 over back taxes. With Rico coming in and starting this business, he's going to bring new jobs, which of course stimulates the local economy, which is the whole point of the Class 8 incentive. And I think Rico has a really good business plan in place. He's got a good team in place to be successful and to pay the taxes, unlike the previous several years where they haven't been paid. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the incentive or from the trustees. Or
I was wondering if either Mike or Rico, if you guys could take us through maybe the build out and maybe talk about what you think employee-wise you might have initially and then in the years to come. Maybe talk about what you're going to spend to fix the place up. You know, that's in the application. Just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got a line rate of $750,000 right now, and I'm trying to invest it on it, and we're going to start between 6 and 8 employees to start with, and hopefully, we're going to go increase in production and everything over the time, which, according to my calculation, will be fast, within 3 years maybe. I did that before, and it was very successful. I believe it may happen again.
I believe it was like 25, at least 25 employees you were hoping for in about 3 years.
Yes.
About 30.
Great. I know some of your build out includes the purchase of the tanks that you need, but you'll also have some talk about, and I know there's a site plan coming, but there's some improvements to the facade, landscaping and lighting that you're going to do as well.
Yeah, we're going to do some green, we're going to add some green in front and We recooked the asphalt, remodeled the building outside. It looks kind of lonely. Obviously, I mean, being an environmental company, I want that to expose, nice and frosty to the client that we're doing what the right thing to do. Green is my strength, basically.
Yeah, I think the one thing I wanted to point out is there's two ways to look at Class A. Without a Class A, the tax would be approximately $62,000, and it's in your application. With the Class A, they're $25,000. So, obviously that's a big incentive. The other way to look at it is right now, no one's paying taxes on it. So, as Mike said, about $150,000 county tax, we're getting a big zero. So we're going from 0 to 25. That's a win all the way around.
Yeah,
There's a couple ways to look at it.
Another thing it'll do too is it'll typically raise the value of the property over the life of the incentive. So in December of last year, there was a report from UIC and CMAP, the Chicago Metropolitan Planning, I forgot the exact name. But they did a report where they looked at industrial incentives from 2012 to 2022, and over that 10-year period, industrial parcels went up in assessed value by about 129% overall. And when they lost the incentives, they went down 8% in assessed value. So just because you're getting a break on taxes, it doesn't mean that over the life you're not going to recuperate a lot of that back over the life of the incentive.
Yeah, we've seen impact studies. We know what having, if in 3 years you get to 30 employees, those 30 employees are driving here, they're gassing up here, they're having lunch here, and they're doing some shopping. So there's a lot of unspoken development that happens when you have viable businesses and you bring in staff to run. So.
Plus, I believe in a two-way road. So we bring back to the community when we grow and stuff. We like to see the community growing too. We bring, basically when you open a company, right, you bring UPS, FedEx. There is a lot more companies attached to it. And then when I got my other business, they asked me, how many people you got employed? So I can tell you about 1,000. Because FedEx, UPS, we got kind of companies, all these companies, attached to your business. They're going to your roads and stuff. It's a lot of income.
Rico, I do want to say it's been a total privilege working with you over the last, almost year on this project. I know you're a man of your word, and like you said, I'm looking forward to that old dungy building, getting a new facelift. Oh yeah, I know you're looking forward to getting in there and rolling up your sleeves and getting that done. But yeah, it's that whole corridor that you call the Avenue corridor. Once we get this street done, it's really looking like a nice, very clean industrial.
So I can wait, and I appreciate all the support. I just need the opportunity to get in, and you will see the results. I promise you won't.
Yeah. I know that. Like I said, you're a man. So again, I'm looking forward to having a nice buildings out there. And as Mr. Potworski said, right now we're getting this much in taxes. Now we're going to get some taxes back there for great employees. And as Dan said, they'll be eating at the restaurants, gassing up, and who knows, maybe living in Lansing. So again, thank you.
Trustees have any other questions for Rico or Mike or Angela? I would ask the board if it's really put this on the agenda for August 18th. Okay, so our next meeting is August 18th. That's when this will be up for consideration. Okay, very good. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Maybe that's all I have.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Podgorski. We're going to move on to our village attorney's report. Mr. Walsh.
Nothing to report.
Thank you, sir. We're going to move on to finance and HRC. Trustee Smith, and ask Trustee Valencia for Trustee Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to ask Mr. Hannigan if he wants to review the proposed water supply agreement between the state of Cameron, Indiana, and the village of Lansing.
Okay, board, before you is a draft of an agreement. that we received from the city of Hammond and their water division. We're going to ask the board to vote on this agreement. I believe I've talked to Administrator Podgorski about doing this on September 1st so that we can get you some information on comparables, things like that. But suffice to say, the agreement before you is a good agreement. It's 20 years. We've got some language that we might want to tinker with just to make sure that we, I don't think there's anything in there that locks Lansing up for the whole 20 years. And I spoke to the attorney that drafted it, so she felt the same way. Because they do have other agreements. The city of Hammond goes out and provides water to a myriad of towns. And there are certain towns that have that requirement. I don't believe ours has that in it. But this is to provide water at 88% of the city of Chicago rate. As I mentioned earlier during the appropriations part of this tonight's meeting, they'll take our rate per thousand from 378 to 438, basically 88% of the city of Chicago's rate. So these are all things that are going to have to be passed through, goes without saying, because the cost of water is going up for everybody. So anyway, there's really no action that needs to be taken. I guess I'll defer to Dean and Mayor Hardy, but I just wanted to make sure that I got it in your hands tonight.
Yeah, I think the goal here is to, as Finance Director Hannigan mentions, time and time again, our cash reserves and water sewer fund are a little light. So we're going to do some comparative rate studies to see where some other communities are at. We know that the rate increase is about 60 cents per 1,000 gallons. So we may look at whether there needs to be, at least that is going to get passed on. We may need to take a look at, can we do a little bit more to start putting some money in the cash reserve so that when we get all these water main breaks that I know Superintendent of Public Works, Earl O'Neill, just loves to go out and fix water main breaks. And I think we'd probably be okay if we had a few less. So we probably need to think about getting a couple extra dollars in the water and sewer fund so we can do more of water main replacement. So that'll be the subject probably of the August committee meeting, and then have full consideration of the September 1st board meeting.
And just to give the board an idea of the order of magnitude we're talking about, we worked with, again, Steve and the Robinson team, but the Oakwood Estates water main street project cost about $4 million to give you an idea of what we've got to think about as we look at the rest of town that has just frankly aging infrastructure. The mayor talked earlier about what we've committed to, and this is the kind of thing that we need to start thinking about. So, in any event, there's nothing to vote on tonight. This is just to get it before you tonight.
I have a question about this Hammond rate. Why do they say that I get it 88% of the Chicago rate? It seems like that has nothing to do with what their actual rate is. I mean, we know what they're charging. I mean, I know they're residents are getting the best rate because it's a direct source, but why peg it to Chicago where there's a lot of different factors that go to Chicago's rate, not to the market rate based on what they can produce it for?
I think the two of them looked at, I think you remember, Seth, that Joliet was one of the big towns that was looking for a source of water, both from Hammond and from Chicago. I just think the two of them look at, the chief competition. But you're right, I don't know why, and Hammond really didn't do that before. This
that wasn't our last contract, was it?
No, it absolutely wasn't. And even on the amendment, they didn't pay it to that. Now, one thing good that they did amend is they're not going to, I asked them to set the rates every other year, so that's in there. So there's some positive things in that agreement, but bluntly, Dan and I have not had a chance to really look at, we always want our water rates in Lansing to be the cheapest in the area, and I think we'll continue to do that, but we do have some aging infrastructure needs that we've got to look at. and try to develop a long-term plan on it. And we will.
Am I correct in saying we really have no option, like besides going to the city of Chicago, and it's really the only other player in this?
Well, you could go to Kankakee, or you could go, Cherville gets their water from Illinois American, but not any options that are less costly. I believe, again, famous last words, but I believe we have the best option available to Lansing residents. I truly do believe that. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. I believe that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, trustee. We're going to go right back to airport insurance, trustee Lansing.
All right, Mr. Henry. If you don't mind. Once it hangar and the repairs that.
Okay, so before you, David, you have so on March 13th, we had a windstorm that was, I think again, I know Ken has been talking, the mayor's been talking about all the rain. I think it started in March, maybe it got worse in June, but you'll see the windstorm that affected the Quonset hut. And this is an 80-year-old building. The estimate that we got from a contractor by the name of OCS Contractors, you'll see right here where obviously if it's pulling away, these are panels that actually attach to girders, which are, I think they call them, technically they call them stringers. I think Zorn would know far better than I, but you'll see, given the age of the structure, this is a little bit of specialized work that has to be done. Again, we're talking about an 80-year-old building. The quote that we got for the repair was $73,940. You have it by memo in front of you. I did speak to both the mayor and Dan about this and got their permission to go. And I met with the adjuster out there from IPMG twice. Actually, it's not IPMG, it's IPMG's appointed adjuster. But met him in mid-April at the end of May, and they awarded us $48,000 towards that repair. So, which is not all that different than what our deductible would have been. What I'm asking for in my memo is about $25,000 to put into, sorry, could you go back to that? So this part of the Quonset hut has received most of the problem weather because it's coming from this is the obviously the southwest corner of the Quonset hut, and what we're asking to repair is this whole first ring. And I told Dan and the mayor, I think given what we're doing with the door, as the board knows, we're repairing the door with federal money. I think it's a good start, given that we received the insurance money. And believe me, both the mayor and Dan are hesitant to do too much with this building until we decide what our long-term plan is for it. But I think this firm has worked with us. I think Tom could attest to it on the work they did at the Enterprise building for about $12,000, repaired almost that whole wall. So I'm asking the board to approve basically spending about $25,000 to finish this whole bay, and then, which is attached to the door. Sorry, could you scroll that back up? Yeah, exactly. So I think it's going to be money well spent, given that we received the insurance reimbursement. And again, we're talking about an 80-year-old building, so I think over time we're going to have to work with the mayor and with Dan about what the long-term plan is. I think it still has the capability for very good storage. We'll have to put lighting in it, would be the next thing, in my view. But it's I don't know, Dan, probably about 50,000 square feet, would you say, the available storage. So I think it can be an asset to the airport. I just think we have to decide how much. What happens is all of these rivets get holes in them. Again, this is an 80-year-old building, so Richard Horn is his name. I think he's done good work out the village. He's also repaired some work, I think, Tom, at the south end, two of our T-hangers.
It was the T-hangers, the roofs, and some issues we've had with the doors, and Rich has been out quite a few times working on our hangers out there.
Well, and I know Dan came out, Dan Podgorski, we showed him, we had the lift out to show what's happening, how challenging it can be. Again, it's an 80-year-old building attached to panels to these fairly strings that strain across. But anyway, I think the long-term plan would be to try to repair temporarily these rivets, and then, like I said, I think we're going to need to put some type of lighting in the hangar so that it's a dark storage. It's basically a storage locker. Anyway, so I'm asking the board to approve us moving ahead, and I would argue this is an emergency repair because of the hole in the roof. So I'm hoping that the board will treat it as such, and we can use it, redeploy the insurance money back into the building.
So the element that finance director has added airport engineer to his job description.
It's a technical term.
And then he has trustee, an engineer. But yeah, like I said, the other rivets or the sheet metal screws that are holding the panels down, they definitely probably in time are going to need to be looked at. They're caulked, and if we want to make it at least somewhat waterproof, and we might want to do that. But again, Brian, we've had this conversation. I'm a little hesitant on spending a lot of money on that building when maybe we can build something else too. So, but I think the roof definitely needs to get fixed, trustees. And as Brian said, he worked hard to get some insurance money for us. And I think this is a good proposal.
Okay. Well, if we can add this to the agenda meeting, please. Thank you, Mr. Hannigan.
Sure.
Thank you, Brian.
If nothing else, man, I'm filled with the gift of gab, I guess, right?
It must be Brian something or something.
Well, I have nothing else for you tonight, Mr. Hannigan. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Trustee Valencia, thank you, sir. We're going to move on to Fire and Economic Development. Trustee Abbasi.
Thank you, Mayor. No items tonight.
Thank you, Trustee Abbasi. Moving on to Police and Public Works. Trustee Zeldin.
Thank you, Mayor. Third around this, Mayor. A few items to discuss. First up, Chief Phillips can come up and chat with us about the proposal for crossing guards for several of our school districts. For this fall, go ahead, Chief.
Very good, Trustee, Mayor, elected officials, Mr. Rogorski, thank you for this time. We all remember back last fall, we had, I believe, 3 incidents where students were hit by vehicles by TF South. So what we did was we met with the principal, Administrator Rogorski, the mayor and I. We came up with some suggestions and some improvements, and one of those was crossing guards. So we added 2 crossing guards to that location. We did not have a prior agreement in place with them, so right away in December we needed to get an agreement made, and Montana and Welsh helped us draw up agreement for 215, and while we did that, we decided to go ahead and formalize what we're doing with the other 2 school districts, 158 and 171. Didn't want to present those at the time because we were still working with our agreement, and I wanted to include all the COLAs and up-to-date information, which we have in these agreements at this time. So nothing has changed. As you know, we have about 25 crossing guards. My administrative assistant, Tiffany Rosati, she manages that program. She moves people around where needed. She hired a couple extra to handle the 215s, extra needs there as well. So it's a nice program. Nothing has changed other than we are increasing some of the costs. But this is all pass-through. The school reimburses us. We manage it. But in the end, everybody comes out of winter. Everybody's safer getting to school, so it's a good program. The only thing we did change is we added about $5,000 to what we are collecting from District 158. We have kind of a weird way. We have 17 base guards, crossing guards, and then whatever extra we use, we move around. We charge them hourly for that. So again, we incorporated the COLA updates with that, so everything is up to date financially with our crossing guards. Again, nothing has changed, but now we have an agreement in place with all 3 school districts in town, and I believe it's managed very well at this time. So I just want to formalize this. If you have any questions, be glad to answer them.
Chief, as I was reviewing the different agreements, 158 has a lion's share, right, of the crossing guards that we're looking to maintain out there and get reimbursed. Is that because it kind of focuses on Memorial with all of the crossing guards up and down the road?
Well, they have 5 schools to incorporate in their district. So we try and really focus right around their schools, because that's where a lot of the kids are being dropped off. But then they're also probably more centralized on the busiest roads, the Ridge Road, the Burnham Avenue, in the north end of town, where there's just more heavy traffic and it's just more important to have them. With 171, we only have 2 or 3 locations down the south end of town. It's a little bit safer down there. And again, with TF South, we're just right at Burnham Avenue. So yes, they have more schools to protect and some busier areas and smaller kids as well.
Gotcha. 158 goes all the way out to Old Lake?
Yep. Yeah.
So it's a long stretch there. I go by them every morning, so I know that they're out there doing their job, and it takes a couple of each intersection to do it well. So watching with the kids, but that explains it. So, trustees, have any other questions for Chief? Glad to get all this down in light fashion once you do the format for the one that makes it easy for the others to get it, which is best practice for getting all that on paper.
Exactly, my time. Thank you very much, man. You guys did a great job with it. Trustees, thank you. Any other questions anytime, feel free to ask.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. There's no objections. Let's see this on the agenda for the next 4 meetings. Moving on. Have a presentation on the furniture plant for the new public works facility in EOC. Superintendent O'Neill.
Thank you. So before you have a presentation for the Public Works and Emergency Operations Center furniture plan. No doubt that this was a team effort. The team as far as consists of Olivia, Latia, Gabrielle, and Latia, Gabrielle, and Gerald Wilson, our supervisor for the Public Works Department. Person as far as joining the team has been Dennis Murray, as far as has been intricate as far as setting this process up for us as well. So I look forward to presenting this to you today. No doubt this plan as far as consists of a lot of hard work. We spent about 6 months going through a process of selecting 6 different vendors in order to go through their bid proposals to us as far as those to decide as far as what's going to be best for this operations center. One of the things that we took into account and to decide as far as what's going to be our best recommendations, what's going to be most flexible in this environment. So as I go forward as far as with this presentation, I'll talk a little bit more about that. As I said, no doubt this was a team effort. As far as one of our goals as far as was to actually come up with a design that's going to be flexible. In looking at the operation from a public works standpoint, that's one side of it. But we also have to be flexible to know that we're operating an emergency operations center. So how do we transition over from emergency operations center to a public works environment? One of those things as far as was a definite consideration, we went through our 6 different vendors we talked to. One of the vendors as far as which we chose to talk with was Pulse. Probably remember Post, they did some work for our Lansing Airport. First, they presented a pretty good package for the Lansing Airport. The next vendor we talked to was the National Business Furniture. If you've seen those commercials late at night from the National Business Furniture, they're always on up to 2, 3, 4 o'clock as far as the morning. They did a great presentation as well. What we chose our points to land on was Juniper, and I'll go through as far as a little bit more details that I continue as far as on the presentation. Madison was a consideration. Uline was consideration, as well as AOI, as far as it's kind of a new company, as far as if you will. So these are the 6 vendors that we looked at over the period of 6 months, offered them an opportunity to present us information. And through this process, again, I'll go forward as far as to let you see how we landed on Juniper as far as being our primary selected vendor we want to present to the board at this time. One of the things as far as we made this process go a lot smoother for us was the amount of information. We operate a public works department. One thing that we get back from each one of the vendors, we get presentations back were somewhere around 30, 40, 60 pages as far as long. We went through the process of selecting which vendor we can actually utilize. If you bought furniture recently, I don't know who's bought a tabletop or a desk or a chair when everything was kind of separated as far as those. So some of the proposals, like I said, when it reached up to 30, 40, 60 pages, we found out that some of the presentations that came back to us came back with every single piece of furniture. If you buy a chair, here are the legs. If you buy a chair, as far as it has wheels, here are the legs, here's the wheels, here are the armrests as far as it goes. So it made the presentations a lot more complicated for us to go through as we went through and selected these specific vendors as far as it goes. Again, Pulse, National Business Furniture, Juniper, Madison, Uline, most of them came out with the same presentation. When we landed with Juniper, as far as looking at our proposal, was they actually made the process, I'll skip you a little bit, they made the process as far as a little bit easier for us. We went through a process, we designed what we consider room kits. Every office is pretty much the same. We just pretty much ask for the same thing over and over and over again. But in some of the cases, when we talk with other vendors, we still got like 40, 60 pages. Again, we run a public works environment. We didn't have time to go through and then go through each and every, as far as leg, every chair, every armrest, every component of a proposal as far as goes. So what made our jobs easy as far as when we looked at these proposals, not that they were not good, but we wanted to make sure that our relationship with them is going to be just as essential in the future. If you make it complicated how we want to make a decision as far as the public works, what we're going to use for it, not on the public works side, but the emergency operations side, then it kind of a telltale signal to us of how we're going to work in the future. If we do have a problem 3 to 4 to 5 years down the road, again, this selection process presented to us as far as exposure to say, who's going to work with us much better and much smoother as far as it goes in the selection process. What we landed in this process is Juniper. Juniper presented as far as a clean, pretty much crisp as far as proposal to us, and we were able to tell room by room, and trustees, as far as those administration you have that in your package, you can see some of the details of we went room by room, and we were able to, again, design and look at room kits. Every room, desk, chair, executive chairs, as far as goes, and 2 additional guest chairs as far as each one of the office chairs. So as I go forward, as far as I'll present, as far as to you some of the pictures so you can actually see. Those who have not seen the facility, we'll go forward as far as I'll let you see how the facility actually looks. So again, our selection process was based upon customer service, communication, response, and timeliness. If you furnished your house recently, sometimes you change your mind. In this process, over the period of 6 months, we changed our minds a lot of times. And that was a very telltale process in order to decide as far as that we selected Juniper again, where they were able to turn around renderings to us within 30 minutes to an hour. Where some of the companies in which we work with, as far as they looked at in this process, maybe took 2, 3 to 4 days. Again, not that they were not good, it's just that they made our jobs a lot easier when it came down to making a decision what was going to work best for our public works and our emergency operations center. Okay? Customer service and design factors. Again, as we go forward, I'll show you a couple of design factors that they actually designed for us, and you can see that information as well. In looking at Juniper, this is our actual training. So let me show you an example of what this kind of looks like. Okay, so if you think about it, as far as this is our training center. This large room, it holds about 48 people as far as this large room. I hope I'm not blocking your view. But this large room holds about 48 people as far as in here. This is what we consider, like a better term, a war room or emergency operations center as far as on this side. We have a community room as far as in the front of the public work. So this area would be our community room. So we've been in Village Hall as far as this would be our community room. This is kind of our emergency operations center as far as where all the decisions are made. This room is actually our training center. Again, working with Juniper, again, they made this so easy for us. And these colors are pretty close to what we decided as far as for the emergency operations center as well as the public works facility. Up at the top center area, we have about 3 to 4 offices. So office 1, 2, 3, 4 at the top. We also have our 5th office, which is actually an administrative office, a break room, as well as what we consider a command center, which is what we also consider the bridge. In this general area, we have actually this is where the guests, as far as we enter, if we come into the public work facility. Again, thank you trustees for coming through as far as looking at the facility, but this is where our guests will enter. And on this side, as far as wall, we have where we have all of our operational controls, where it's actually our SCADA controls for our systems. All of these facilities, as far as these rooms that I point out to you, we have to have, again, the flexibility to be able to change. In the case of an emergency, what has to happen? It's no longer an office, it's actually going to be an operations center. Is it going to meet the needs as far as of our fire department? Is it going to meet the needs of our police fire department, as well as our police department, and anyone else as far as it goes from the board, as far as who has to come down and operate in this facility? So our selection process, again, was driven by what are going to be the day-to-day needs and what is going to be the flexibility as far as of the facility. Okay? And looking at this, again, this is what we consider the actual community center. This is pretty close to the furniture selection that we chose as far as for this specific room. Chairs, what you see, the desk and the colors, not so much the hardwood, it's actually carpet on that floor. So again, it's just a markup as far as what the room will look like. But the colors are pretty close as far as what we present, as far as what we thought would work and be functional, and then actually have durability and opportunity as far as long-term use. Okay, in this process, as I look at it, as far as our bid proposals came in, the original price came in at $128,000, just a little bit over $128,000. So again, Pulse came in at $128,000. Juniper came in at $88,000 and $88,403. National Business, $125,000. So in looking at this process again, why was the price so much of a difference when we chose Juniper? Because they have on-site manufacturing. They have years of experience as far as doing this. They've actually worked with a lot of, as far as municipalities as well as our law enforcement departments, so they understand the business and the nature in which we're in. They're able to get delivery times in a much more reasonable time. They can start delivering furniture, if this bid goes through, they're able to start delivering within 10 days. So because they have their on-site manufacturing, which the other companies did not, again, it made that process a lot easier for us to work. And then from our standpoint, to make a decision land with Juniper as far as being the primary vendor, which we would like to go to. That's my submission as far as for today, as far as for the actual presentation to the board. I'm open to any questions that you have, especially I'm open to you coming down and spending some time with us and walking through the facility and getting an idea as far as the concept and the visions. We welcome all departments to spend some time as far as with this. So I'm open to any questions. Again, thank you for the opportunity to present this to the board. Any questions?
Thanks, Earl. Do we know that the final bid from Juniper, this might be more a question for Administrator Podgorski, maybe you can see them. How does that amount fit into what initial budget estimates of what furnishing the building would be? Is it in the ballpark, or do we not budget that? Can I predict what furnishing would be?
Yeah, that was not in the bids that Jay made to us out for that, because that was all system order. So this is, I don't want to say it's not contemplated, but it wasn't in the bids that Jay made in last year.
Earl, I appreciate your level of detail, due diligence, and pursuing. Sounds like a great option for the new BOC. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Earl.
If there's no objection, we look forward to this being on the next board agenda for approval as well. Moving on to some projects in town. There's a discussion about Paxton Avenue Pond maintenance. Review of bids. Mr. Kaminsky, come talk to us about that, please.
Good evening, Board, Mayor. So if you guys recall, we went out for bid for the Paxton Avenue Pond and the Fernwood Pond maintenance that had kind of been neglected for some of the past several years. There's a lot of dredge buildup in the ponds, and then the Paxton Pond specifically, there's a lot of trees and brush that has grown over the years. So we went out to bid towards the end of 2025 for the entire project. And really, what we had heard from the contractors at the time, the low bid at the time was about $750,000, if you recall. We met with the contractors after the village board decided to reject that bid and just talk through some of the issues that they were seeing. The biggest one being they can't really get into the Paxton Avenue pond with all of the overgrowth in there to see what type of material they have to haul out of there. So that was really a large unknown, so they're just kind of throwing some blind numbers at it, so to speak. So we decided to break it apart into different phases. This first phase being just the Paxton Avenue pond, clearing out all of that brush, and then mowing down the grass, and then once that is cleared out, they'll go in and tag all of the trees, and then those will be paid for removal as well, and they'll take those out. So now we'll have a good surface, clean slate to actually evaluate what type of buildup is in that pond. We can see the concrete channel that's running through the middle and investigate some of the outfalls. We just really can't get in there at this time. So we solicited proposals from asked for proposals from 7 contractors, met on site a couple weeks ago to evaluate any questions that they had, and we received 2 proposals, one from Homer Tree Service and the other one from Thornton Equipment. I think Thornton Equipment's was much higher due to just timing of the project, and I just don't think they really wanted the work. Homer seemed more adamant that they wanted to get it. So you'll see in there the 2 numbers in the memo that I put together along with their proposals. So right now the recommendation would be to move forward with Homer Tree Service. We'll get that cleared out. Once that's completed, so they're going to mow it all down, get those trees removed, and then do a final mow. Again, that pond is about 9 acres, so it's a pretty large area, hence the cost. And once that's completed, then we'll go into the phase 2, which will be actually dredging out both ponds. We'll go back to Fernwood. That's obviously a much smaller area and a lot less material. And that could be done now, but if we're going to have the contractor come out and do it for Paxton, we're going to do that at the same time. So that would be the next phase, but we're going to go ahead and move forward at the board's direction with Homer Tree Service. So if there's any questions.
Just to be clear, when you're talking about Homer Tree Service picking up brush and clearing things down and final mowing and all that would also include the trees that are growing?
Yes. Yeah, so there's going to be the 2 components is the brush and the mowing of the grass itself, and then actually removing any of the trees. So once they get it mowed down and cleaned a little bit, we'll actually be able to measure the trees, and they'll be paid, by the diameter of the tree. So that way they have a lot better of idea instead of looking into this huge open area, field, just kind of throwing a number at what they need to be removed. So we have estimated quantity in there, but that price is subject to change. We feel that we have enough to cover it, but so I would say that proposal price should come down a little bit, hopefully, depending on the number of trees they actually want.
Steve, when they remove the trees, when they remove the trees, do they remove the stumps as well?
They'll grind them a few inches below grade, so that way they're not affecting any of the mowing operations. And when we come back in, and depending on the dredging that has to be done, that might tear out some of it if we have to remove 6 inches once we get the trees removed. But they'll grind down the first few inches. That way, if that surface is still okay, we feel the side slopes are okay, we can just go ahead and possibly add some topsoil to level it out, reseed it. But they'll get that first few inches down so that the grass can take us through that.
Trustees have any additional questions? If not, any questions we put on the agenda for approval at our next meeting? Steve, why don't you go right ahead and talk to us about the Henry Court and Court sanitary lift station bids.
Yep. So again, as you recall, we went on the venture of evaluating all the sanitary lift stations and water pump stations throughout town, Public Works, and with the Robinson team that we have on staff. Just kind of assigning some grades to the lift stations themselves and some of the equipment that's in them. What came of that was kind of 2 really priority pump replacements at the Henry Court and the Forest Court lift stations that were not working, they were not working. So we went ahead and in the fall, I think it was in August or September of last year, we approved the purchase of the pumps from Metropolitan Industries. Those had lead times of about 16 to 20 weeks, and I think it ended up being a little bit longer than that. So those pumps The Public Works had received those, I think, about a few weeks ago. I think they actually came into the States about 2 months ago. We were working with the supplier on the final fittings and connections for the valves and the pumps, so they could ship it as one complete assembly. So now that we have those in hand, the next step is going to be getting a contractor in place to actually install those. This is kind of a specialty type work. Not a lot of companies do this. They're retrofitting these newer pumps into these older facilities. And if you recall too, we recommended purchasing the type of pump that can go into a new wet well facility, where these are going to be in the dry side. So they are going to be interchangeable for a future lift station improvement if we get rid of the old Smith & Loveless can that sits underground that staff actually has to go into for confined space entry. So now we had met with Gaskell and Walton and Aries on site, both with village public works staff and with the team from Robinson. So they got the lay of the land at both lift stations and what was needed to install them. Metro is going to be supplying the actual pumps and valves and the connections. And then this contract, Gaskell and Walton, who's the low bidder, we're recommending going with them. They're going to be connecting all the electrical and getting the rest of the piping in order inside of the dry well. And again, that price includes installation of both the pump at Forest Court and then the pump at Henry Court, as well as, you'll notice in the memo I put, and Gaskell Walton actually has 2 separate proposals, but the combination of them equals about $95,000. That also includes at the Henry Court lift station. You'll see above ground if you drive over there. The control panel, at the time when it was installed, they were having difficulty establishing where to put it with some utilities that were in the area. So right now it's just sitting on 2 wood panels with some exposed wiring, and it's been like that for some time now. So that price includes getting that poured on a concrete foundation and reconnected with conduit as well.
Is that at the Henry Court?
Yeah, Henry Court.
Henry Court, right, okay. Because I was just going to ask you that those, I don't know if it's BX or whatever, kind of, electrical lines that are running, but that's going to be encased in conduit or something?
Yeah, so it'll be under the concrete pad and anything that is above ground, similar to the generator over there. You see some of the conduit. So everything will be in place.
That's a 4x40 boat.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
If I can add to that, our Public Works eShop team has had extensive conversations with both vendors. They have long-term standing relationship with both, and they're pretty happy for us with the bid submissions as far as being presented to the board. Again, they work with them over a period of decades, both vendors, so I think it's a good submission as far as looking at this proposal.
Yep, both contractors have done work on multiple of the lift stations.
Looking forward to it.
Great. So there are 2 separate memos, right, from Gaskell Walton, but the second one, I believe, is the one that has the total of, we're talking 94,600
Yes.
for the 2 that cover.
Yeah, that's for the 2 pumps and then also the control panel that you see above.
All right, that's good savings as well. So trustees have any additional questions? I know we've been working on inspection our stations. I think we tackled one on the end of out by Lions Park or something last year or so. We found that would have been neglected. So it's, these are important projects to do, and appreciate you doing the legwork to make sure we get the best deal out there by reputable companies. So
I think these are kind of the last 2 holdouts that were the major upgrades, but I know Earl and his staff have done a great job over the last several months after we identified some of these issues on getting a lot of the other lift stations, up to speed with some minor tweaks here and there. So,
great.
Yeah, these 2 will kind of put us, into good shape, I would say.
Further questions? Sure. I'd like to see some as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Moore.
thank you.
That perhaps, that portion of the mayor thing.
Thank you, trustees Overmusk. We're going to move on to building IT, L&M, and marketing, trustee Lamont.
Nothing to this meeting, Mayor.
Thank you, trustee Lamont. Youth Center and Venue Operations, trustee Nomison.
Nothing this evening, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, trustee Nomison. Public comment. Public comment would be regarding any items that are on this agenda. Does anybody in the public audience here have anything that they would want to say? Not, we're going to close that portion off. Do the trustees have anything for old business? Do the trustees have anything for new business? If not, I need a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss matters pertaining to collective bargaining.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Abbasi?
Aye.
Trustee Zalman?
Aye.
Trustee Robinson? Aye. Trustee Lamont?
Aye.
Trustee Valencia?
3-minute recess.
Give me that mic.